Right now, as you are listening to me talk, you are seeing colors. You probably think you are seeing all the colors there are to see. You look at a red apple and you see red. You look at the sky and you see blue. You look at grass and you see green. Simple enough, right? But here is the thing that is going to mess with your head a little bit. What if I told you that some people, specifically some women, can see colors that you literally cannot even imagine? Not just more shades of the colors you already know, but entirely new colors that do not exist in your visual world at all. This is not science fiction. This is not some made-up thing from a comic book about superheroes. This is real biology that scientists have been studying for decades, and it might be one of the most mind-bending things about human vision that most people have never heard of. These women are called tetrachromats, and while you and I see the world with about 1 million colors, they might be seeing up to 100 million colors. Let me explain how this works, because it actually makes a lot of sense once you understand the basic biology of how we see color in the first place. Your eyes have these special cells in them called cones. These cones are what allow you to see color. Most people have 3 types of cones in their eyes. One type is sensitive to red light, one type is sensitive to green light, and one type is sensitive to blue light. This is why humans are called trichromats. Tri means 3, and chromat relates to color. 3-color vision. Every single color you have ever seen in your entire life is your brain mixing signals from these 3 types of cones together in different combinations. Think of it like mixing paint. You have red paint, blue paint, and green paint. By mixing different amounts of each, you can create a huge range of colors. Yellow comes from mixing red and green light. Purple comes from mixing red and blue. White is all 3 together. Your brain is doing this mixing constantly, taking the signals from your 3 cone types and blending them into the rainbow of colors you experience every day. With 3 cone types, humans can typically distinguish about 1 million different colors. That sounds like a lot, and it is, but it is nothing compared to what a tetrachromat can see. Tetrachromats have 4 types of cones instead of 3. Tetra means 4. So while your brain is mixing 3 signals together to create colors, a tetrachromat's brain is mixing 4 signals together. And here is where the math gets crazy. Adding just 1 more cone type does not just add a few more colors. It multiplies the possibilities exponentially. Instead of 1 million colors, tetrachromats can theoretically see up to 100 million colors. They have an entirely extra dimension of color vision that the rest of us do not have and cannot even imagine. I want you to really sit with that for a second, because it is genuinely hard to wrap your mind around. There are colors out there, real colors made of real light, that you have never seen and will never see. Not because you are blind or because something is wrong with your eyes, but because you simply do not have the biological hardware to detect them. It would be like trying to hear a sound that your ears are not built to pick up, or trying to smell something that you have no receptors for. These colors exist in the world around you right now, bouncing off objects and entering your eyes. but your brain has no way to process them into a visual experience. Now here is where it gets even more interesting. This fourth cone type is almost always found in women, and there is a really cool genetic reason for this. The genes that code for your red and green cones are located on the X chromosome. Women have 2 X chromosomes, while men only have 1. This means women have 2 copies of these genes, and sometimes those 2 copies are slightly different from each other. When this happens, a woman can end up with 2 different types of red cones or 2 different types of green cones, giving her 4 cone types total instead of 3. Men almost never have this happen because they only have 1 X chromosome, so they only get 1 version of these genes. The only way a man could be a tetrachromat is through some extremely rare genetic situations that almost never occur. This is why when scientists talk about tetrachromats, they are almost always talking about women. But here is the catch, and this is really important to understand. Having 4 cone types does not automatically mean you are a functional tetrachromat who can actually see 100 million colors. Scientists estimate that about 12% of women have 4 cone types, which is a surprisingly high number. That means if you are a woman or if you know 12 women, there is a good chance at least one of them has the genetic potential for tetrachromacy. But most of these women never develop the ability to actually use that 4th cone type for enhanced color vision. Think of it like having a piano with an extra octave of keys. Just because the keys are there does not mean you know how to play them. Your brain has to learn how to use the signals from that 4th cone type and integrate them into your color perception. For most women with 4 cones, their brain never makes this connection. They go through their entire lives seeing the same 1 million colors as everyone else, completely unaware that they have this genetic potential sitting unused in their eyes. Scientists think that only a tiny fraction of women with 4 cones actually become functional tetrachromats. The estimates vary a lot, but it might be something like 1% of women with 4 cones, or about 1 in every 100 women who have the genetic potential. When you do the math, that means true functional tetrachromats who actually see enhanced colors might be somewhere between 1 in a few hundred to 1 in a few thousand women. Rare, but not impossibly rare. There could be tens of thousands of them walking around right now, seeing a world of color that the rest of us cannot access. The discovery of human tetrachromacy has a really interesting history that goes back several decades. Scientists had known for a long time that some animals are tetrachromats. Many birds, fish, reptiles, and insects have 4 or more cone types. Some mantis, shrimp have 16 different types of color receptors, which is absolutely insane to think about. But for a long time, scientists assumed humans were stuck with 3 cones, and that was that. The idea that some humans might be tetrachromats started getting serious attention in the 1980s and 1990s. A scientist named John Mullen at Cambridge University was studying color blindness in men. Color blindness is actually caused by problems with the cone genes on the X chromosome. The same genes that can give women for cone types can malfunction in men and give them only to working cone types, making them colorblind. Mullen realized that the mothers and daughters of colorblind men often carry the genetic variants that cause colorblindness, and these genetic variants might give them an extra cone type. Think about it this way. A man is colorblind because his green cone gene is mutated to be more like his red cone gene. His mother might have given him this mutated gene, but his mother has 2 X chromosomes, so she might have 1 normal green cone gene and 1 mutated green cone gene. This means she could have normal red cones, normal green cones, and also the mutated cones that are somewhere between red and green. 3 different types becomes 4 different types. Mullen and his colleagues, including a researcher named Gabrielle Jordan, started looking for these women. They identified women who were carriers for colorblindness and should theoretically have 4 cone types. Then they gave these women very specialized color vision tests to see if any of them could actually distinguish colors that normal trichromats could not tell apart. The results were frustrating for a long time. Even though they could confirm that many of these women did have 4 cone types in their eyes, most of them performed the same as regular trichromats on the color tests. Their extra cones did not seem to be giving them any enhanced color vision. Scientists started to wonder if human tetrachromacy was even possible, or if the human brain simply could not learn to use a 4th cone type. But they kept looking, and eventually they found her. In 2010, Gabrielle Jordan identified a woman in England who scientists now refer to as CDA29. This woman, whose real identity has been kept private, passed the tests that no trichromat should be able to pass. She could distinguish between colors that looked absolutely identical to everyone else. She was the first confirmed functional tetrachromat ever identified by science. The test they used was really clever. They showed the subject 3 circles of color. 2 of the circles were the exact same color, and 1 was slightly different. For normal trichromats, all 3 circles looked identical because the difference between them was in a part of the spectrum that our 3 cones cannot distinguish. But for a tetrachromat, that 4th cone would make the odd circle look different from the other 2. CDA29 could pick out the different circle almost every time with an accuracy that was way too high to be explained by chance. Since then, a few other functional tetrachromats have been identified, though the number is still very small because the testing is difficult and time-consuming. One of the most famous is an Australian artist named Concetta Ontico. She discovered she was a tetrachromat after scientists tested her, and her story has helped bring a lot of public attention to this condition. Ontico is a painter, and she has described how her enhanced color vision affects her art and her daily life. Ontico has said that she sees colors everywhere that other people cannot see. A leaf that looks plain green to you might have hints of red, orange, violet, and countless other colors mixed into her. Shadows are not just darker versions of the colors around them, but contain their own rich palette of hues. A gravel path that looks gray and boring to most people might be a symphony of pinks, greens, blues, and purples to a tetrachromat. This brings up a really important point about what it actually means to see more colors. It is not like tetrachromats are seeing neon signs and rainbows where everyone else sees gray. They are seeing more subtle distinctions. Things that look like one solid color to you are revealed to them as complex mixtures of many different colors. The world is richer and more detailed in a way that is hard for the rest of us to comprehend. Antiko has described trying to explain her color perception to normal trichromats as being incredibly frustrating. How do you describe a color to someone who has never seen it and can never see it? It would be like trying to describe red to someone who has been blind since birth. The words simply do not exist because the experience does not exist for most people. When Antiko paints, she uses colors that she can see but that look strange or wrong to trichromatic viewers. She has to consciously translate her vision into colors that make sense to the rest of us. This raises some fascinating philosophical questions about the nature of reality and perception. We tend to assume that we all see the world the same way, that the colors we experience are real and objective and universal. But tetrachromacy proves that this is not true. The colors you see are not properties of the objects themselves, but are constructed by your brain based on the limited information provided by your particular set of cones. Someone with different cones sees different colors looking at the exact same object. Which version is correct? Neither, really. Color is not a thing that exists out in the world. It is an experience that happens inside your brain. Light has wavelengths, and those wavelengths are real and measurable. But the experience of seeing red or blue or green is something your brain invents to help you make sense of those wavelengths. A tetrachromat's brain invents more colors because it has more information to work with. Neither their colors nor your colors are the true colors of reality because there are no true colors. There is just light and brains doing their best to interpret it. This might sound kind of depressing, like nothing is real and everything is made up by our brains. But I actually think it is beautiful. It means the world is far richer than any of us can perceive. There are entire dimensions of experience that exist, but that we cannot access because of the limits of our biology. Tetrachromats get a little peek into one of those dimensions, but even they are limited. There are insects that see ultraviolet light that is invisible to all humans. There are animals that see polarized light. There are fish that can see infrared. Each of them experiences a version of reality that includes things we can never know. Now, let me talk about how scientists actually test for tetrachromacy, because it is harder than you might think. You cannot just ask someone how many colors they see, because they have no way to compare their experience to yours. A tetrachromat has been seeing enhanced colors their whole life and probably assumes everyone sees what they see. They might not even know they are different until they are tested. The most reliable tests involve showing subjects colors that should look identical to trichromats, but different to tetrachromats. This requires creating very precise color samples using specialized equipment that can control exactly which wavelengths of light are being emitted. The subject has to distinguish between these samples many times to rule out lucky guessing. Even then, it takes repeated testing sessions to confirm that someone is really a tetrachromat and not just a trichromat with unusually good color discrimination. The reason this is so hard is that there is a lot of variation even among normal trichromats. Some people are better at distinguishing colors than others, even with the same 3 cone types. This could be due to differences in how their cones are distributed in the retina, or differences in how their brain processes color information, or just differences in how much attention they pay to subtle color variations. A skilled artist or designer might score very well on color tests without being a tetrachromat, simply because they have trained themselves to notice small color differences. Scientists also have to confirm that the person actually has 4 cone types by genetic testing or by shining light into their eyes and measuring how the cones respond. Having 4 cone types is a necessary condition for tetrachromacy, but as we discussed, it is not sufficient on its own. The brain also has to be wired to use the information from that 4th cone. One of the big questions scientists are still trying to answer is why some women with 4 cones become functional tetrachromats while most do not. What makes the difference? Is it something genetic beyond just having the 4 cones? Is it something about how the brain develops? Is it something about experiences during childhood that either encourage or discourage the brain from using the 4th cone? Some researchers think it might have to do with the specific properties of the 4th cone. Remember, this 4th cone is usually a variant version of either the red or green cone. If the variant is too similar to the normal version, the brain might not get enough new information from it to be useful. The 4th cone needs to be different enough from the others to provide genuinely new data about the light coming into the eye. Women whose 4th cone is more distinct from their other 3 might be more likely to develop functional tetrachromacy. Other researchers think the brain plays a more active role. The visual cortex, the part of the brain that processes visual information, has to develop the neural circuits to interpret the 4th cone's signals. This might happen during a critical period in childhood development. If the brain does not build these circuits during that window, it might never be able to fully use the 4th cone, even if the cone itself is working fine. There has been some research into whether tetrachromacy can be trained or enhanced. If a woman has 4 cones but is not a functional tetrachromat, could she learn to use her 4th cone through practice? Some studies have tried color training programs to see if they can improve color discrimination. The results have been mixed. People can definitely improve their ability to notice color differences with training, but it is not clear if this represents actually using a dormant 4th cone or just getting better at using the 3 cones they already have. This connects to a broader question about brain plasticity and sensory enhancement. We know the brain is capable of remarkable adaptation. People who lose their sight often develop enhanced hearing. People who lose limbs can learn to use prosthetics that connect to their nervous system. In principle, it seems like a brain that has access to a 4th cone should be able to learn to use it, but the science on whether this actually happens in practice is still uncertain. Let me talk about the evolutionary angle of tetrachromacy, because this is interesting too. Why do humans have 3 cone types in the first place, and why might some women have ended up with 4? Most mammals are actually dichromats, meaning they only have 2 cone types. Dogs, cats, horses, cows, and most other mammals see the world with much more limited color vision than humans do. They can see some colors, but their world is much less colorful than ours. The reason for this goes back to the age of dinosaurs. Early mammals were small, nocturnal creatures that hid from predators during the day and came out at night to forage. In the dark, color vision is not very useful because there is not much light for the cones to work with. These early mammals lost some of their cone types because they simply did not need them. But primates, the group that includes humans, monkeys, and apes, evolved trichromacy. We regained a 3rd cone type. Scientists think this happened because primates live in trees and eat a lot of fruit and leaves. Being able to see the difference between red ripe fruit and green unripe fruit gives a big survival advantage. Being able to see the difference between young tender leaves and old tough leaves helps too. Red and green color vision makes foraging much more efficient. The way primates became trichromats is through a process called gene duplication. The gene for one type of cone got copied, and then the 2 copies mutated over time to become sensitive to slightly different wavelengths of light. This turned one cone type into 2, giving our ancestors the red and green distinction that most other mammals lack. This exact same process is what can create tetrachromats today. Further variation in those same genes can create additional cone types. In a sense, tetrachromats are just continuing the evolutionary process that gave humans trichromacy in the first place. They have one more gene variant, one more cone type, one more level of color discrimination. But if tetrachromacy provides enhanced vision, why has it not become more common? Why are not all women tetrachromats? This is a good question, and there are a few possible answers. One is that tetrachromacy might not provide that much of a survival advantage in modern life. Being able to distinguish 100 million colors instead of 1 million might not help you find food or avoid predators any better than normal vision. The advantage might have been too small to spread through the population. Another possibility is that there are costs to tetrachromacy that balance out the benefits. Having 4 cone types might require more neural processing power, and brains are metabolically expensive. It might also cause confusion or sensory overload in some situations. We do not really know if there are downsides to seeing so many colors because so few tetrachromats have been studied. A third possibility is that evolution simply has not had enough time. The genetic variants that enable tetrachromacy might be relatively recent, and it takes many generations for a trait to spread through a population, even if it is advantageous. Human evolution is slow on the timescale of human history, and genetic changes that happened in the past few thousand years would not necessarily be visible yet. let me talk about how tetrachromacy might affect everyday life beyond just seeing more colors. Functional tetrachromats like Concita and Tico have reported a variety of experiences that seem connected to their enhanced color vision. One thing that comes up a lot is being able to detect subtle changes in skin tone that other people miss. Tetrachromats have said they can tell when someone is getting sick before symptoms appear just by subtle changes in their complexion. They can see the flush of emotion or exertion that is invisible to trichromats. This could potentially be useful in medical settings, though no one has systematically studied whether tetrachromats make better nurses or doctors. Tetrachromats also often say they have strong emotional reactions to colors. Because they see so many more distinctions, certain color combinations that look fine to everyone else might look jarring or unpleasant to them. Walking through a store with bright fluorescent lighting and multicolored products everywhere could be overwhelming. On the other hand, natural environments with complex, harmonious colors might be especially beautiful and calming to them. Some tetrachromats have trouble with tasks that require matching colors. If you ask a tetrachromat to find two items that are the same color, they might say nothing matches because they can see tiny differences that are invisible to everyone else. This could be annoying when trying to match paint colors for your house or coordinate an outfit. What looks like a perfect match to a trichromat might look obviously mismatched to a tetrachromat. There are also some tetrachromats who did not know they were different until they were adults. Concetta Antico said she just assumed everyone saw what she saw. She thought other people were not paying enough attention when they could not see the colors she pointed out. It was only when scientists tested her that she realized her perception was genuinely different from the norm. This must be a strange realization, to discover that the way you have seen the world your entire life is unique to you. Now, I want to address some common misconceptions about tetrachromacy that float around on the internet. There are a lot of online tests that claim to tell you if you are a tetrachromat based on how many colors you can distinguish in an image. These tests are basically useless for detecting true tetrachromacy. The problem is that computer monitors and phone screens can only display colors using combinations of red, green, and blue light. These displays are designed for trichromats and cannot produce the wavelengths of light that would look different to a tetrachromat's fourth cone. A tetrachromat looking at a screen sees the same thing as a trichromat looking at that screen, because the screen is only emitting 3 types of light. For a test to actually detect tetrachromacy, it would need to use specially calibrated light sources that can produce wavelengths in the part of the spectrum where the fourth cone is sensitive. This requires laboratory equipment, not a JPEG image on your phone. If you took one of those online tests and it said you might be a tetrachromat, it probably just means you have good color discrimination for a normal trichromat, or that the test was poorly designed in the first place. Another misconception is that tetrachromacy is related to synesthesia, the condition where people perceive one sense through another, like seeing colors when they hear music. These are completely different things. Synesthesia is about the brain making unusual connections between different sensory areas. Tetrachromacy is about having extra receptors in the eye. A person could have both, but they are not related. There is also confusion about whether men can be tetrachromats. As I mentioned earlier, it is almost impossible for men to be tetrachromats because the genes for the red and green cones are on the X chromosome, and men only have one X. There are theoretical ways a man could end up with 4 cone types, like having an extra X chromosome or having certain rare genetic mutations, but these are extremely rare. If someone tells you they are a male tetrachromat, they are probably mistaken. I also want to mention that tetrachromacy is not the same as having better color vision in general. Some people with standard trichromatic vision are just very good at noticing and distinguishing colors. This might be because of how their cones are distributed in their retina, or because of training and practice, or just because of natural variation in visual processing. Being a super taster of colors does not make you a tetrachromat. Tetrachromacy specifically refers to having 4 functioning cone types, not just being really good at using 3. Let me circle back to the science and talk about some ongoing research into tetrachromacy. This is still a pretty new field, and there is a lot we do not know. Scientists are working on better ways to identify tetrachromats, better ways to test their abilities, and better understanding of how their brains process the extra color information. One area of research involves brain imaging studies. By putting tetrachromats in fMRI machines and showing them colors while scanning their brains, scientists can see how their visual cortex responds compared to trichromats. Early results suggest that tetrachromats do show different patterns of brain activity when viewing. Colors in the range where their 4th cone should be active. This is evidence that the 4th cone is actually sending signals to the brain and that the brain is processing them. Another area of research is trying to understand the genetics better. Scientists are sequencing the genes of confirmed tetrachromats to see if there are specific genetic variants associated with functional tetrachromacy versus non-functional 4-cone vision. If they can identify these variants, it might be possible to predict from a genetic test whether someone with 4 cones will actually be able to use them. There is also interest in whether tetrachromatic vision could be artificially created or enhanced. Gene therapy techniques are advancing rapidly, and it is possible to imagine a future where additional cone types could be added to a normal eye. Experiments in mice have already shown that adding a new photoreceptor gene can give animals enhanced color vision. The mice's brains were able to learn to use the new receptors without any special training. If this technology eventually becomes safe and practical for humans, it could have huge implications. Artists could see colors they had never seen before. Scientists could detect things invisible to normal vision. It raises all kinds of ethical and philosophical questions about human enhancement and the nature of perception. There is a related technology called N-chroma glasses that is sometimes marketed as giving colorblind people normal color vision or even tetrachromatic vision. These glasses use special filters to shift the wavelengths of light entering the eyes, which can help some colorblind people distinguish colors better. However, they do not actually add new cone types or give anyone tetrachromatic vision. They just optimize the light for the cones you already have. They can be helpful for some colorblind people, but they are not a path to seeing 100 million colors. Let me also talk about tetrachromacy in the animal kingdom, because humans are actually pretty limited compared to some other species. Birds are often tetrachromats with 4 cone types that include sensitivity to ultraviolet light. This means birds see a world that includes an entire spectrum of colors invisible to humans. A flower that looks plain white to us might have dramatic ultraviolet patterns that are obvious to a bird or a bee. Many fish and reptiles are also tetrachromats. The mantis shrimp I mentioned earlier has up to 16 types of photoreceptors, though scientists debate whether this actually translates into seeing more colors, or if it serves some other purpose. Butterflies can have up to 15 different photoreceptor types. Some can see into the ultraviolet, while others can see polarized light. Compared to these animals, even tetrachromatic humans are limited. Our 4th cone is just a variant of our existing red or green cones, seeing a slightly different part of the same spectrum. We are not gaining a whole new dimension of color like ultraviolet. We are just getting finer discrimination within the existing rainbow. A human tetrachromat can see more shades of the colors we know, while a bird can see entirely different colors that are literally beyond our rainbow. This puts human color vision in perspective. We tend to think of our senses as showing us reality as it truly is. But every species has evolved senses that are tuned to its particular ecological needs. Humans evolved to see the colors that help us survive and reproduce. So did birds and mantis, shrimp and butterflies. None of us sees the complete picture. We all see the slice of reality that evolution carved out for us. Now, let me address something that a lot of people wonder about. How would you know if you are a tetrachromat? What signs might suggest you have enhanced color vision? First, remember that the online tests do not work, so do not put too much stock in those. But there are some things that real tetrachromats have reported that might be clues. Do people often disagree with you about colors? Do you see colors in objects that other people insist are gray or uniform? Do you have strong reactions to color combinations that other people seem fine with? Do colors seem incredibly rich and varied to you, with subtle distinctions that other people do not notice? If you answered yes to these questions, it does not prove you are a tetrachromat. Plenty of regular trichromats who are just very attuned to color would answer yes to. But it might be worth looking into if you also have the genetic profile. Are you a woman? Do you have a father or son who is colorblind? Colorblindness in male relatives suggests you might be carrying the genetic variants that create a 4th cone type. For most people, though, It probably does not matter much whether you are technically a tetrachromat or just a trichromat with good color perception. Either way, you see the colors you see, and they are beautiful and meaningful to you. Knowing the scientific label does not change your experience. It is mostly interesting from a scientific perspective rather than a practical one. Let me wrap up by returning to the bigger picture of what tetrachromacy tells us about perception and reality. I think the most important takeaway is that we all live in our own perceptual worlds, and none of those worlds is the true reality. The colors you see are not properties of objects. They are experiences your brain creates based on the light entering your eyes and the particular receptors you have to detect that light. A tetrachromat sees different colors than you do. A dog sees different colors than both of you. A mantis shrimp sees something different again. Which one is seeing the real colors? None of them. There are no real colors out in the world. There is just light and brains making sense of it in their own ways. This extends beyond color too. Everything you experience, every sight and sound and smell and taste and touch, is a construction of your brain. Your brain builds a model of the world based on the limited information it receives from your senses, and that model is what you experience as reality. But the model is not the territory. The map is not the land. Your experience of the world is like a virtual reality simulation running inside your head, and the simulation is only as detailed as your senses allow. Tetrachromats have a slightly higher resolution simulation when it comes to color. They have one more input channel, giving their brain more data to work with. Their simulation is more colorful than ours, but it is still just a simulation. And somewhere out there might be creatures with senses we cannot even imagine, experiencing aspects of reality that will forever be beyond our reach. I find this humbling and awe-inspiring rather than depressing. It means the universe is richer than we can know. It means there is always more to discover, more to experience, more ways of seeing and being. The tetrachromats among us are a living reminder that our version of reality is not the only version. They show us that there is more to the world than meets our eyes. So the next time you look at a sunset or a flower or a painting, remember that you are seeing your version of those colors, built from the signals of your three-cone types mixing in your brain. And somewhere there might be a woman looking at the same thing and seeing 100 million colors where you see only 1 million. Her world is more colorful than yours, and the world beyond her perception is probably more colorful still. That is the story of tetrachromacy. Real women who really see colors that the rest of us cannot imagine. It is science that sounds like science fiction, but it is as real as the eyes you are using to read these words right now. These are not superheroes or mutants. They are just people who won a genetic lottery and got an extra way of sensing the world. And their existence tells us something profound about the nature of reality and our place in it. I hope this gave you something to think about. Drop a comment below telling me where you are from and what time it is. And if you think you might be a tetrachromat, or if you know someone who might be, let us know about that too. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.